Stocks pushing higher as earnings season kicks into high gear. The Dow powering back above the 30,000 level. Let's bring in Fox News contributor Jonathan Hoenig and Market Gauge Group Managing Director Michelle Schneider is back with us. Good to see you both. Jonathan, I want to start with you since we already heard from Michelle. Let me just ask about the rally itself. Do you believe in it?
Well, there's lots of reasons to believe in it, David. I mean, we are due. Keep in mind, last week, you saw the retail investors buy 3 times as many put options as call options. That is extreme bearishness. We've never seen that before. So the market, I think, is set up for some type of a bounce, especially since, David, as I said, we are due. This has been one of the worst markets in history, not just stocks. We've seen stocks fall 20% before, but I'm talking about bonds, fixed income. Many of our investors, many of our viewers are investors in fixed income. They're down 15, 16% just this year. So I think that we're due for a bounce. This is just the beginning of it, but longer term, unless inflation gets under control, this market is dead money.
Well, and Michelle, we were talking before about this being a world recession. This is a big one. This is something that's going to affect the whole globe. Is there any place to hide if it's a world recession that we're going into?
Well, this could look like a very different type of recession because, yes, you will have demand destruction in so many things, obviously, with higher yields and contraction of an economy. But at the same time, you still have that nagging idea of inflation, which means there may still be places to park your money for the inflationary type moves, which is why even though they've become very unpopular because of the strong dollar, the metals are still intriguing to us. And as well as some of those soft commodities, still sugar's been very strong. And the grains have come off. I wouldn't necessarily be as bullish there. But even the energy markets, as we know, at any time can take off for any reason because of supply. So I'd say right now, cash is probably still the best place. And to Jonathan's point, yeah, a rally would be lots of fun for active traders. And if you just watch a 5-minute opening range in these markets and you follow which way it goes, you can have a great time day trading. But in terms of long-term investments, I'd be really careful right here.
Well, Jonathan, you look at NASDAQ, up 3.25% right now, just about 3, and it was 3.5% a couple of minutes ago. I mean, that's a 10% gain on everything that we've lost over the past year because we've had a 30% loss. So one would think that to get in right now after a 3.25% gain would be a very risky thing to do.
Well, David, considering we're down 20+%, and look, what's so frustrating is that, to Michelle's point, this is a difficult market in which to invest, but because of inflation, you have to invest, David. I mean, you're losing 8% a year simply by sitting in cash. So I do think now is the time to be smart, to take some prudent risks. For example, not those beaten down names. This is my opinion, the technology stocks that have beaten down, but some of the emerging markets, for example, over at capitalistpig.com, my clients own Turkey, TUR. This is an ETF that invests in Turkey, which stocks are extraordinarily underpriced.
Wow.
But you have to look for the long term, David, because in these types of markets, how can you look out 6 months, 1 year when you have no idea what's going to happen from Washington, what's going to happen to inflation? That's what's buffeting the market right now.
I'm just thinking the guts of somebody to name their company Turkey is, or to name the stock pick Turkey. It's just, that's a gutsy move. What about buying a bond, Michelle? When you look at a 1-year yield of close to 4.5%, it looks like if you're going to park your money, that looks like a good place to park it for a year.
Yes, absolutely. 1 year, 2 years. I wouldn't necessarily be looking long term to have my money in bonds. I'm really happy Jonathan brought up the idea of emerging markets because it is possible that we can start to see some money coming in there. In fact, I was reading some huge funds are starting to buy global ETFs, like VT, for example. But yeah, I mean, you know, really the idea of the bond market, even that is something to be watched. Right now, it's good. If you look at with the market up today, the TLTs, the long bonds, the yields are starting to rise again. So that's kind of telling you that this rally could be very short-lived. But yeah, there'll always be something that you can look at. Maybe certain things in the small caps also might be bottoming.
All right, Jonathan, then you have the political consideration to make. We have an election coming up in less than a month. We have President Biden, by the way, saying that we are making progress against inflation. His anti-inflation act he points to as being successful, on the right track, even though we saw the inflation numbers go in the wrong direction, go up again last week, both for the producer price index and the consumer price index. Issues and Insights, by the way. It's a wonderful online economic newsletter, if you will. They say that the exact wrong thing to do right now is to believe anything that Biden says about the economy. Is he a reverse barometer for what's actually going to happen?
I mean, Dave, they've just been flat out wrong. They said inflation would be transitory. Of course, it wasn't. They said the Inflation Reduction Act would reduce inflation. It has increased inflation. In fact, this inflation, David, which was started in Washington, D.C., the president has done everything to exacerbate it, to prolong it, even now talking about, in effect, price fixing on insulin right now. So it makes it such a difficult environment to invest. One idea, for example, just throwing out, is something as basic as energy. PXJ is an ETF. During the 1970s, there was a long bull market for commodities, and everything the president's doing is exacerbating inflation. It's making it worse. He's not taking the difficult, albeit but difficult cuts that are the only thing that can bring this inflation under control.
All right, and I must compliment you, Jonathan, on wearing a tie that is perfectly apropos to the green on the screen that we see right now. Very well done.
Let's see some more of it.
Yeah, very well. I wish we would see more of it. Michelle, John, great to see you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.